So, welcome to another episode of a Tradecast. This week we've got another exciting guest in to tell his story, and we'd like to introduce you to Ian. Ian, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having us on.
Not a problem. So, we're going to start the same way we start every other one. I want to know, I know who you are. I want the listeners to know who you are, what you do, and what you've done to get here.
Cool. Well, I'm Ian. Ian Mullet. A lot of folk see the van and wonder where the names came from, but my surname is Mullet, so I run a small one-man band basically called Mullet Makes Joinery Services. I am what you would class as a joiner, I guess. How did I get here? That's a bit of a strange story, to be honest with you, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably go into that in a wee bit more detail later on, but I'll just throw them out to say I'm not actually a qualified joiner. But I somehow ended up in with a joinery business, so aye, there you go.
It works.
Absolutely.
So, in terms of, obviously, you've now got a joinery business. Where did you start your career off? Like, how did you get into that style of work? Where did you start from, and how did you progress to here?
It's a bit of a mixed bag, to be honest with you.
Mixed bag as well.
Aye. Mixed bag of mortar. I actually grew up with a farm in the family. We didn't live on the farm. I live with my mum and dad, but my uncle had a farm. He retired from civil engineering and decided that he needed something else to do, so bought a farm, and it had Highlanders on it, Highland cattle, and I used to absolutely love it. Every moment I could go up there, school holidays, the lot, I was on the farm. And as you know, farmers just do everything. They don't pay anybody to do anything, you know. So my uncle basically gave us loads of life skills. Like, we learned so much on that farm, it was unbelievable. So fast forward, got through school, all the rest of it. At that point in time at school, they were totally driven. If you were in the slightest bit academic, they were totally driven to the next stage was university. That was the only conversation they had. There wasn't any other conversation. So here's me sitting going, right, cool, what do I go and do at uni? So I just I genuinely can't say how I got there, but I decided to go and do architecture.
Right.
So I walked out of school with 5 hires, done no bad for myself, straight into university after 5th year. Got to 3rd year of architecture when I was doing my general degree and decided, you know what, I can't sit behind a desk all day. I just can't do this. Yeah. I actually really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the drawing side of it and the creative side of it, but I just can't sit behind a desk all day. I need to be doing something a wee bit more hands-on. Yeah. So at that point I decided to jump ship and go over and do construction management, because I thought at that point I'd still be able to kick about the sites and I'd be able to get the banter and the crack for the boys on the sites, and do you know, that seemed a better course. So I ended up getting my degree in construction management, but then kind of come out when the industry was
crashing
totally on its backside. You know, we're talking probably 2010, 2011, something along those sorts of lines. There was no jobs, and even when the jobs did pick back up again, all they were doing was hiring the boys that were laid off 18 months ago, because they knew for a fact they could give them a set of keys to the site and they would just get rolling again. Do you know? There was no scope for this fresh-faced lad who's just got a degree, who, you know, still needs a wee bit of moulding, a wee bit of work to actually do the job, because that's the reality of university, isn't it? So I ended up just working in retail. I worked for B&Q. I worked for a company called Listers, who are based in Wolverhampton, selling architectural ironmongery. I worked for Go Outdoors over in Coatbridge, and then something just went a wee bit drastically wrong, to be honest with you, and I can't put my finger on it, but I ended up having a mental breakdown. Couldn't leave the house, couldn't walk across the walk across the front door. So at that point I kind of knew something had to change, and as much as Go Outdoors was a decent enough job, and I was quite, you know, I was at a relatively good level as far as retail's concerned, you kind of found yourself chasing money a wee bit at that point in time, looking for the next step forward. Where am I going to go for here? What's the next job that I can go to? How can I earn another $5,000? How can I do that? How can I do this? And you know what? It just all collapsed on about me, and I quickly realised that money wasn't
the be all and end all.
Money's just not a driving force for me in the slightest. Even to this day, I've just got no drive for money. Like,
so do you think the drive was there for the progression or the financial side of it? Like, obviously you're saying there you were looking for that.
I think I probably was. I probably wasn't financial either, to be totally honest with you. Like,
just that progression.
It was all to do with. It was all to do with just progression and another step forward and another wee kind of
driven.
Another wee stamp on the book. Do you know what I mean? Just to get somewhere, just to keep going, just to not be stuck in this kind of rut all the time. Do you know? And I guess that was instilled on you from an early age, wasn't it? You'd always try to strive to do better. Once you've done that one, you need to go for your next grade. Once you've done this, you need to do that. And so that all came tumbling down. I ended up taking a job with Screwfix, much lower down the pecking order, and it was the best job I've ever had. It was so good. I actually loved working for Screwfix. Just along the road here, actually, in the little industrial estate. One of the best, honestly, genuinely, from the management team within the building to the area manager and all the rest of it. I'm sure they might even come across this at some point. It was genuinely some of the best working days. But I always knew I can't do this forever. I just couldn't do it forever. Retail's quite a hard game. As much as it's probably one of the easiest games to get into retail, it's actually quite a hard game. It's very, very, you're working for 6 o'clock in the morning, you're working at 10 o'clock at night. It's no family orientated, you know what I mean? And I have 2 young kids, and I had a young kid back, and it's just no good, so I need to do something for myself. I need to do something that I can dictate when I'm going to work. So I started off, I was always handy, do you know what I mean? And I'd already flipped at this point 1 house at least, a personal house. I wasn't doing it really for monetary gains, but we'd bought, done up and sold a house at this point. And I thought, what can I do in my current situation? So decided that I was going to just mess about in a workshop and try and sell things, and nothing really ever kind of worked. And one of my mates says to us, I'm really into whiskey. I want a whiskey barrel. It was actually for his work, right? He owns a company in Hamilton. I want a whiskey barrel, but I would quite like it converted into some form of drinks cabinet. And I honestly thought he was off his rocket, to be honest with you. I quite like whiskey as well, but who on earth converts a whiskey barrel into a drinks cabinet? But anyway, here we were. We bought a whiskey barrel, and it took me forever. I reckon it probably was in my shed for 3 months, chipped my way to this whiskey barrel, trying to convert it into a drinks cabinet. And that's pretty much where the business started. This first drinks cabinet, and I posted it on my own social media. And it was, looking back at it now, I wouldn't even like to see what state it's in. He still got it, right, but I haven't seen it in years, but I wouldn't like to see what state it's in, because it's no done what I would do now, do you know what I mean? That started the business. I posted that on my own personal social media page, and it went absolutely mental. And everybody was like, "Oh, I want one of them.
Can you do
one of them? I would love one of them, but it needs to be smaller than that because it doesn't fit in my. Oh, could you do that? Can you do this?" And for there, I just started in my shed, in my garage. I progressed, and I eventually rented a workshop and was still just doing whiskey barrels, converting them into drinks cabinets, converting them into seats, taking them apart, using the staves as candle holders, all that sort of stuff, right? So it was.
So you know your way about a whiskey barrel?
I do, and it really annoys me now because there's quite a lot of folk doing it now, but there's nobody doing it right, and that really fries my brain because I literally deconstruct the whole thing, take it back to the white oak, take all the black charring off it, take it back to white oak, recooper the barrel, and then convert it into a cabinet. That's the way it should be done, because that's the only way it's going to survive forever. Whereas they're just taking an angle grinder and a flap disc, and it just looks rotten. Anyway, so that is a different story. So I've kind of lost my train of thought now.
So you posted it on your own social media, and it kind of went nuts, and that was where Mullet Makes started.
So that's where the company bought it. And so actually the logo, you can, I don't know if you can patch a logo in here, but the logo is actually based around a whiskey barrel, and that's because it stemmed from the first kind of incarnation of Mullet Makes was all to do with whiskey barrels, and everything that was producing was all whiskey orientated. But then lockdown came, and everybody had loads of money and loads of jobs that needed done, and nobody could do them because either they were absolutely up to their eyeballs, or there was just a really high demand at that point in time during lockdown, and even when it was easing as well, for people, for I was going to say skilled there, but I don't even know what to call myself.
You're still skilled.
Aye.
You make
so
a living.
For these kind of people, so they were maybe looking for somebody with all the accreditations under the sun and all the rest of it, but they can't get a hold of him.
Yeah.
So they were giving me a chance, do you know what I mean? And I was going out and I was building fences and I was building deckings for people, and I was hanging doors for people when you were allowed, of course. And I was, the list just grew arms and legs and grew bigger, and it went from just doing whiskey barrels to covering pretty much loads of joinery work, internal joinery work, external joinery, if you want to call it that, or hard lands. I don't know what the right terminology is for decking and fencing, but because it's a kind of crossover, isn't it? That one, that is a kind of crossover. Because I've actually had a lot of people message me, "Oh, you join the landscapers?" Because I'm needing X, Y, and Z done, and I'll say, "Hi, big Colin, phone Colin." And does he do the fences as well? And I'm kind of reluctantly going, aye, he does a fence, because I could be doing that, but
It's funny, like exactly what you said, it is a pure crossover. Like, obviously, given the storms just now, Facebook's nuts for fences.
I seen a plumber advertising that was going to do a fence.
I've seen a plumber doing it as well. But it's one of the ones, if your skill set is timber, where you be a joiner, landscaper, or anything in between, I guess, without discriminating, it's there for the taking.
Absolutely. So so COVID helped us out, basically helped me out, and the business just kind of grew arms and legs, and that's pretty much how we started. And I think really, for me anyway, I used to tell people as soon as I went to see them to price up a job, I'm saying I need to let you know, like, I'm not actually a qualified joiner, but do you know, I've kind of stopped doing that, because actually I've seen loads of qualified joiners' works, and actually I'd be ashamed to walk away from a job that looks like some of these things. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know what it is, whether it's because they're working for another company and it's no their name over the door, or whatever the scenario is like. But there's some work out there that is just terrible. Shocking. Again,
it's one of the things that you see on social media and stuff, like, different skill levels produce different levels of work.
Yeah.
And I know personally somebody that had a joiner in the house to do finishing work, which I guess is a joinery skill in its own. And I swear to God, I've never seen 45-degree miters last in my life.
Well, I think in some instances you've hit the nail on the head, because there's loads of folk that are really, really good at putting timber kits up and cutting in rafters for roofs and all that kind of hips and rafters and all the maths involved in that and they can hand cut them, which is phenomenal for me. Like I but yeah, they couldn't put a bit of skirting together because it looks like they've chewed it with their teeth. Yeah. And then the flip side, there's boys who are out there who are putting skirtings together and facings together on a day-to-day basis and hanging doors, but then all of a sudden they're trying to put an extension up and they just don't know. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing, don't touch it.
I think joinery work can specify into different categories.
Absolutely.
And you could be a specialist in that category, but when you go and try the other side, obviously it's not as fresh, it's not as daily, it's a bit rougher. And
I reckon there's probably, like, the likes of Connor, the Future, he's probably got, if he was sitting next to us, he'd probably say to you, aye, actually, do you know what, I've got this boy that works for me and he's phenomenal at doing internal trim work and all that sort of stuff, but when it comes to the flip side of the coin, actually I would put Y out in that one. Do you know what I mean? There's people out there with totally different skill sets. Do you know?
Well, as I say, the joinery work that I seen in it was actually a friend's house. I don't think a 45-degree square hit any of these meters. They were the worst things I've ever seen. Needless to say, the group chat was gone mental.
It's the same with this job that we're on just now. Do you know? Out in Glasgow, we're doing a job, and I mean, the builders, they've parted ways for whatever reason, right? But honestly, I think some of the stuff he's chewed with his teeth. Do you know? Again,
it comes into a standard thing. Like, some people are happy to just go out, throw it together and make money and run away and never come back. Whereas other people are willing to go, put a bit of time, bit of effort, a bit of skill set, and be proud when they walk away and own it.
I couldn't say that. My name's on my van. Do you know what I mean?
So your phone number.
My name's in my van for a reason, because I'm proud of everything I walk away for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And my advertisements when I'm sitting out in front of that house, do you know that? So see if I come up against a problem, I'm happy to pick the phone up and find out how I solve the problem.
Yeah.
Rather than just hiding it and walking away for it. Or even if it's not my problem, even if I've priced in to do X, Y and Z, but then something else completely, I've uncovered something, I'll fix that. And probably more often than not, I'll just charge the guy the extra material rather than any extra time. Do you know what I mean? Because I'd rather walk away knowing the job was done and done as to the possible best of my ability than actually, you know, screwing somebody over and walking away and that's going to be an issue again in 18 months.
Again, it comes to our morals. Like,
aye, 100%. 100%.
How you can put your head in the pillow at night time.
100%.
Like,
100%.
It's industry wide, I guess. It's not just in your industry, it's not just in my industry, but we can speak for personal experience. Like, even when I come across gardens, like there was one I seen recently, and again, I don't think there was any rule covered, and any rule in the rule book was covered on this garden. Like, I think a plumber installed it. Not somebody that's in the trade, but it just depends on, like you say, how proud you are, how much you want to portray yourself as a professional, and how much you want people to talk about you in a good way rather than a bad way.
Absolutely. We done a job just pre that storm there, just a wee fence, a 4-foot fence in front of somebody's garden, 16 metre fence, wasn't the biggest job in the world. And we fired that up and the guy was absolutely delighted with it. That was fine, no questions asked. The day after the storm, he phoned me about 6:10 in the morning. In fact, I was in the showers. Maybe not as early as 6:10, that's maybe injustice, but it was early in the morning, right? Yeah. And I was in the shower and I got out of the shower and I had a missed call for this boy and I was like, oh, my heart sank. I was like, oh no. But it turned out it was just the one next to it, which I'd already said to him. It was on
its way out.
It looked, no, it was, well, mate, it was, you're lucky for that fence. It was still green, you know what I mean? The fence was probably 3 months old I said, the first bit of wind and that fence is coming down. There was mere fence posts sticking above the fence. It must have been about 4 inches in 6 inches in the ground, you know what I mean? And I said as a passing comment, right? But then my heart sank when he phoned us and I was like, oh no, I phoned him back. Stuart, are you alright? Just to let you know, that fence that you said was going to come down. I says, well, no, do that job once, do it right.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Everybody's different, mate. It's just one of these things. The industry's full, and the construction industry's full. It doesn't matter what kind of sector you're in, it's full of people that just go for the quick buck rather than putting the quality and the assurance in it that it will last the length of time it should.
Aye.
You just got to suck it up. At the end of the day, when it all goes tits up, there was somebody good to pick it up.
Absolutely.
Me and you.
Well, that's pretty much, at least half of my year last year was spent on various different jobs that weren't fresh jobs. We went in to fix.
Yeah.
The
sort of remedial work kind of thing.
Aye.
It's the worst part. I hate it. I literally hate it.
Do you know, I actually quite enjoy it. I don't really know why. I get a greater sense of achievement at it because I know that I've actually done it right.
Yeah.
Somebody's tried before and just, messed it up.
There's too many variables in it though. Like, for instance, for us, like, oh, my patio's been laid wrong. Can you lift it and relay it? Well, we could lift it, but we're lifting the patio.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to come down to, because ultimately, actually, as much as I really enjoy the jobs, they're actually the hardest job to price up and give somebody an idea for, because you've got no idea what you're walking into.
One of the most trivial things that we find in my sector is re-grouting or pointing.
Yep.
So if a client phones and says, oh, I'm looking for a re-grout, see if we've done the job, no problem, we'll come and sort it for you.
Absolutely.
See if we've not touched the job, we can't tell what they've used, 9 times out of 10 we can tell what they've used previously, but we can't tell how big the gaps are. If it's a full bed, spots, whatever, that leads to an issue. We can't tell what the base, how it's constructed, what kind of mix they use, what ratio of mix, how permeable, how non-permeable. There's too many factors. So even as simple as that makes a remedial job a nightmare.
Yeah.
And a re-grout should be an in and out job, whereas if you're last to touch it, it's your fault. So I just hate them.
Aye.
It's not my favourite subject. Definitely not.
I think it's just because I'm obviously same with one man band and all that. I do use contractors as well. If there's 2 or 3 guys that I can pull on if the jobs are bigger. Like, do you know what I mean? But I think it's just a lot of the bigger outfits, we probably pick up a lot of these jobs because a lot of the bigger outfits don't really want to touch them at all.
Yeah.
One, because it's really hard to get a definitive manpower, how much manpower is actually needed on this job, and how long is it actually going to take us, you know, because these guys, these bigger outfits, their diaries working, I mean, probably 18 months in advance, let alone 18 days in advance, do you know what I mean? Whereas I'm really only booking my diary up. I've got loads of jobs in my head that people want done, but I only actually really sort my diary for the next 3 or 4 weeks, you know, because I'm at the point where actually I don't know how long this job's going to, you know, a lot of these jobs, I can, if there's a fencing or a decking or hanging 5 doors for somebody, or you know you can timescale these ones, but there's so many jobs that we take on that you can't timescale. Yeah. I mean, there's a job that we started in October last year, and we're still going back just to try and just to keep the ball ticking and picking up everything, you know. Yeah. The initial list is finished, but they've just said, oh, what about that one? Could we sort of,
well, you're here, can you fix this?
Can we sort this? Can we do that? Can we do the next thing? Do you know? Happy days. Do you know? I'm not complaining in the slightest. Yeah. But that's just the way that my kind of customers, my kind of, that's just works for us. Like, just works for me. Aye, this works.
Well, at the end of the day, it needs to work for you to keep it operating. So if it's working, it's working.
Absolutely.
Like, I'm one of the guys where we are booked, I wouldn't say massively in advance, but we try and keep it at least like 3 months in advance. Again,
that's totally different for you though. You're not just worrying about you and your family. Do you know what I mean? You're worrying about another squad of boys that you've got to deal with as well. Do you know what I mean? So that in itself's a whole different ball game. And I'll just put it out there, I'm never doing that. There's no chance.
So that's not the next.
Don't know where you're going to come with that, but that's not happening.
For you? No.
See how that whole thing I was talking about chasing progression and all that back then, that the end of the road is now. I will never grow. I'll never grow. No
steady
chance.
Enough workflow and just.
I've seen some of the guys, like, you know, you can pick loads of them just for social media. One of the local boys, Darren Meakin, decked out Joinery. I mean, he's been up, employed people, and then all of a sudden, you know, something's happened, and no fault of his own. Do you know what I mean? And then it's back down to square one, and it's just. I couldn't cope with that mentally. Yeah. He seems to just absorb it all and take it all in and carry on. Do you know what I mean? And that's, I'm not cut out for that.
I think that's kind of part of his personality as well.
I worry about myself.
How he portrays himself on TikTok today and Instagram and stuff, he does look like the kind of person that's kind of resilient.
Do you know what? He's a great guy. He is a good guy. I really enjoy all his content and all that. I do. I absolutely do. But I couldn't do what he's doing. Just... No. Like, and he'll openly tell you he's not the best businessman in the world, do you know what I mean? But he's absolutely cracking on. And
I think the business side of it can be quite hard though, in the sense of we're tradesmen.
Yep.
Business, if you run a business, it kind of comes hand in hand. But the truth is, unless you've studied it, I guess it's a learn as you go kind of experience. I
would need to put it into somebody else's hands, the whole finance thing, if I had to do anything bigger than that, right?
Most of his employ accountants, because.
But then I heard last week, I can't even remember who it was. There was somebody else on socials last week, and it was at a joinery mob, and he used to be a one-man band, and he cracked on, and he got a couple of bodies and all the rest of it, and he was doing all right. He'd been doing it for 2 years, and then the accountant told him in October that as of March, he should have been VAT registered, and we'll need to backdate it. So you're 38 grand. So, I mean, what's the point in paying an accountant if he's no? Oh, so then you're going down the line. That's a can of worms, that.
I guess that's the same as why would you pick a good joiner or a good landscaper or whatever else. It's all about who you pick.
I couldn't have somebody else with that much. That's too much a gamble for me. No. I couldn't do that. Nah, I couldn't.
So do you do all your own stuff?
Everything.
Are you?
I literally take a photo of every receipt that I spend and put it into a software package that I pay for. Yeah. I do all my invoicing, all my quotes. I literally.
I've not got enough time to do that.
Well, neither have I, but it's just a bit murder.
Run a business, 2 small kids, and do all that. I hate it.
There's a lot going on, there's a lot going on, but I think the benefit on a business is, I mean, the biggest benefit for me of doing this is my own time management on it. If I need time off, I can take the time off.
Yeah.
And that doesn't always work, because I always thought it was all going to be roses being your own boss. You know what I mean? I genuinely did think, do you know what? I'm getting out of screw fixed. I'm just going to be my own boss, and I'll just be the one that dictates how my week runs. But I mean, unfortunately, just whatever house I'm working in, that's my boss for the day. Do you know what I mean? So you've just got a different boss every week. Ultimately,
sole trader, whatever, it doesn't matter what kind of title you put on it, you are still working for yourself. At the end of the day, the buck stops for you. But at the same time, I get what you mean, that who you're working for, they're kind of in control.
And I don't even like saying it's like, even a day, I says to the boy that, because I was in at the house this morning. I says to him, I need to leave at lunchtime a day. I'm going out to record that podcast, you know, and even that, I felt a bit uneasy, because this guy's expecting a job done. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's not like he's paying a day rate, and that's not how I roll. Do you know what I mean? But I just felt a bit uneasy, because I think, you know what, that guy's thinking to myself, I've just got a wee jolly today. I've just run into his house, done 3 or 4 hours work, and then I'm away. Do you know? And it's all just a jolly. But I think that's the other flip side. Is a lot of folk. This is going off on a tangent, right? But a lot of folk don't realise, when you turn up to their house at 9:30, that you've actually been at the Merchants since 8 o'clock this morning, and you've loaded up all your tools into the van, then you've went to get timber, and then you've done this, and you've went to screw fixing, you've done a new blade for your saw, and then you eventually turn up, you're an hour and a half into your shift already, and they think you're just out your bed. Do you know?
It's not like that.
It's not like that in the slightest, is it? And as you say, there's not enough time in the day, because you finish your job at 4 or 5 o'clock. You've still then got to go home and do the books.
Yep.
So you've still got another hour's work in front of you as well.
Yep.
You know, there's more to actually running this and keeping this on the road than just literally jumping in my van, driving to a job, jumping in my van, come back home again.
Yep.
Do you know? There's a lot of things, and going any bigger and employing somebody, well, you'll know. I don't really know the ins and outs of all that, but I can just imagine the paperwork side of that, and having to then, I would my anxiety would be
through
the roof, worrying about, we need enough work for them to carry on. We need enough work for them, because even when they're no here, I still need to pay them holiday pay. And if he breaks his leg, I've got to do X, Y and Z. But then I've just booked in a 3-month project for all these bodies. Now I'm a man down. I need to find another man, because otherwise that 3-month project turns into a 4-month project. Then we've got... Nah, I'm sorry, mate. I'm sorry. I would be out the door. I'd be away. Honestly, my anxiety's like worked up and out, and it's not even happening.
We're staying a one-man band then.
Absolutely, man.
Good stuff.
Absolutely.
So in terms of, obviously, from where you started to where you are now, like, have you picked out a favourite sector of your job that you like?
No, I really do enjoy walking into something different.
Aye, so it's just
all the time.
Different day, different job.
Do you know, and there's probably stuff that I take on that I don't really enjoy all that much. The likes of built-in wardrobes and all these kind of things. Do you know what? I don't actually really enjoy cutting squares out of MDF and screwing them together and all that. And like, it's not that much fun.
Yeah.
But the end result, still, you stand back and you go, oh, do you know what? That's actually cracking, man. That's really good. Mm-hmm. Do you know? So there's elements of it I don't really enjoy, having loads of different variations of work, but I do really just enjoy. Actually, and it's quite funny, because Paul, one of the guys that I work with quite a lot for plywood work, he actually says, sometimes he'll say to me after about 3 days on a job, he'll be like, that, you need a change of job, don't you? You're 3 days in, man, you're bored of this one, eh? And I've got the attention span of a child, like, do you know? And I think sometimes that is the case. Like, see if you're doing a big fence, for instance, right? Well, just because we both know what we're talking about here. If you're doing a big fence, say, for instance, I think the biggest fence we've done is 60 metres, right? That's probably not the biggest fence in the world, but biggest fencing project we've done is about 60 metres. If you're on that for a whole week, fencing's boring.
Yeah, repetitive.
Digging holes, nailing it, and shooting in. I would be like
too long for you.
Pulling my hair out after.
So the one we're on just now, we are 4 weeks deep. Not too much for you?
No, 100%. Especially if it's the same thing. See, the job that I'm on just now, it's probably going to be two and a half weeks, right? but it's 2.5 weeks of every day I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
Yesterday I spent my whole day ripping skirtings off and redoing skirtings and facings. This morning we went in, we built a couple. No, that was Monday. Yesterday we built a couple of cabinets for them. So we built a built-in wardrobe, an Ingle Nook cabinet, and a cabinet for their jackets to hang up under the stairs. Right, we built all them in the workshop yesterday, and then the day we went in this morning, we're fitting all them. So again, everyone's every day
slightly different.
We've got loft access to do for them. We need to realign most of the kitchen cabinets. So the job's a big job, but actually when you break it down into what's involved in the job, there's hundreds of wee jobs involved in it, and every day's actually going to be different.
Yeah.
Do you know?
So it's not as repetitive. Yeah,
I don't think I could lay porcelain slabs for 4 months.
Just depends. Depends on the weather. We've had a bad run this month. The weather's been a bit. Usually January's not too bad. February is when the shit weather starts to hit us, but this month it's just been storms, rains, crazy winds. It's just not been a nice month.
No, it's not been a nice month, has it?
January's usually a shit month for most tradesmen. So
I was listening to that fixed radio yesterday in the workshop, and they were all phoning in saying that like they're literally like scraping the bottom of the barrel to get some work together for the month. Like, you got to think how fortunate you are. Like, actually, I've got too many people phoning me. Do you know what I mean?
I'm still waiting on my price for my room.
Aye, that's what I mean. Do you know what I mean? That's exactly what I mean. I had somebody else this morning text me that I went out and seen last week, and I've still not priced them because I've genuinely not had a second to sit down and price it. And he texted me this morning and says, "Oh, just let you know, my neighbour managed to get somebody. He's coming out tomorrow." I don't know where they get these people for.
To fix what?
Who's free a week after a storm to fix a fence? I don't know where they're at. Because
like you said, I've seen plumbers advertising to do fences. I've seen somebody install and supply for 35 quid a metre.
35 quid a metre? That's impossible.
And install. I don't know. So see, the person the neighbours got, it's probably by them.
35 quid a metre.
It's not happening. No, if you're buying all the right material.
Nah, no chance.
I think the key word in that is buying.
Aye, well, maybe actually, I think that's the only way that would work, wouldn't it?
Definitely. And I thought I was tripping at first. I'm like, am I reading that properly? And it clearly states £35 supply and install. And then in the comments, somebody else had done the same thing as me and messaged, does this include installation? Yes. Yeah, my calculator's a good calculator, but it doesn't work out at that price.
Aye, no, my calculator doesn't really work ever, but that's miles off the mark.
But it is what it is. So, also, I know you do a lot of outdoor work. So, you've been recently doing a lot of apparatus, should we call it?
Yeah.
How is that? Is that an enjoyable sector of your job? Because
I love it.
I've seen them. My dogs love them.
So we do two. We've kind of fallen into a couple of wee outdoor sectors, really. Actually, I was approached by a lad who runs dog parks. Mm-hmm. You know, a dog park's basically a fenced off bit of ground that you get sole use of for you and your dogs, or your dogs, to run about, basically, for those of you who don't know what a dog park is. But I mean, they're all the rage these days, right? So this guy came to me and asked me to build an obstacle for his dog park, and it was an A-frame ramp, and he sent me a screenshot of somewhere that, you know, I can get it for this sort of price, and it's always kind of the same. You're thinking, man alive, that's really expensive for what that is. So I kind of said to him, right, well, that's fine. I would come in at X amount, and I'll make sure it's better. Mm-hmm. So that was, I don't even know when that was, to be honest with you. I've got no idea. It just all merges into one now. But we're now a vast number of dog parks deep, and we build all sorts of things, from A-frame ramps to high-rise platforms and castles for dogs. Mm-hmm. And actually, as bizarre as that sounds, it's really enjoyable. Going back to the farming thing, I just like being outside, you know, and you're complaining about the weather and all that, and absolutely, there's nothing worse than standing out when it's absolutely lashing it down, do you know what I mean? Like that's not for anybody. No. But I don't mind being out when it's cold or a wee bit wet or a wee, you know, I do like being outside. So, and now the lad Craig is you know, he's absolutely brilliant with us, like, and he's gave us a lot of work, and I can't really thank him enough. Like, he's totally projected that kind of forward for us. The other side of the outdoor stuff that we do is we're kind of with one of the first ever customers that I had myself was a nursery that only doesn't really have any indoor space. They're pretty much an outdoor nursery, and that's the whole ethos behind the nursery itself. It's all about connecting with nature and, you know, all that sort of stuff. So I was building mud kitchens for kids and selling them through Facebook Marketplace and all these kind of places back in the early days of the business. And this nursery contacted me to say, could you build one for us, but we need it to be a bit more upscaled and all that sort of stuff. And we've built numerous things for kids' outdoor play equipment now, and that continues to grow. And I'm actually thinking of starting another wee sideline and getting a name together and rebranding. I'll always keep Mullet Makes for that side of things, but then maybe spending, you know, I don't know how it'll work out, but my theory would be spending a day or two a week
solely on that,
solely on kids' outdoor play equipment, and going down that neck of the woods. Because with that, why I really enjoy that is because all these people have came to me that I've worked with in these kind of sectors and said, and they've sent me some sort of image, but they've also just said, but that's not the be all and end all. Like, wow, I want you to make it what you would make it. Do you know what I mean? And it gives me a bit of creative insight, and I can go a bit wild, and, you know, I've got all sorts of ideas floating about my head that I want to do, and sometimes they need to rein me in a wee bit, and that's cool. Do you know what I mean? I'm all right being reined in, but I just like throwing ideas out there and getting a nice design on and it might be all singing, all dancing, and it might not meet their budget, and we might need to bring it back a bit. But it's all about just having that creative flair that we can take out. Do you know?
A bit of creative flow, just to say, oh, we can do this,
exactly.
this.
And also the other flip side of that is, if I was doing it, I could also take out one of the biggest things that gets me in a job is the customer's expectation of my craftsmanship in their house, for instance, right? Whereas if I made stuff to then sell, they already know what they're getting. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, it's there.
Yeah. They've already seen the picture of what they're getting already. Do you know what I mean? So they're buying something. They're not actually... Well, not that I'm saying I've ever had an issue with anything that I've finished off in somebody's house, but I always have that wee doubt in the back of my mind, is like, am I actually going down the right road here? Do you know what I mean? Are we on the same page? Have I read their brief right? Is it meant to look like this? You know, because some of the things, sometimes they ask you to do something a bit wild, and you kind of go back to them 3 and 4 times, and is that definitely what you mean? And even when you're halfway through doing it, you're thinking, oh man, is this actually, is this what they want? Yeah. It's not how I would want it, but you know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's their house.
Always right.
Aye. So you always have that kind of anxiety in the back of your head, that kind of fear in the back of your head. Whereas if I done the outdoor play furniture and all these kind of things, they would really be days where my creative flair could flow, but also I've not sold it yet. You know, it'll not be sold until it's actually finished, and then somebody sees it and then they'll buy it. Yeah. So they know exactly what they're getting. Do you know? So
it's kind of going to be a range where it's not kind of going to be build it, catalogue it, take a picture. Do you want to buy? It's still custom. Yeah, well, I think the theory would be to have a catalogue of, you know, I don't know how many items, right? Say 12, right? Just to start off with, get the ball rolling on 12 items, and then actually do a bit of work and do a catalogue. So if you do get any inquiries, you can fire a catalogue to them of things that you can buy. That's it. But then also say to them, listen, that's not the be all and end all, as you say. We can go down the road of changing the dimensions of that climbing wall if you want it, and we can make it what, you know, so that there will always, I think, need to be an element of customisation, because ultimately these things dictate on the size of space that you've got to work with. You know, and you don't want to be. That's the issue with a lot of these companies out there. I would suggest that just sell off the shelf continually. They're probably losing out on a lot of sales.
because it doesn't meet the size requirements that they need it. Do you know what I mean? Or their mud kitchens, no. If you've got a 2 metre wide mud kitchen, but actually the wall's 2.4, what are you going to do with the extra 400 mil?
Yeah.
Just make the mud kitchen 400 mil bigger. Do you know? So I think customisation's always going to be the way forward, isn't it? But
I guess that's where the market is there for you for that reason. Like you say, you can go and buy anything off a shelf for that kind of
absolutely
kids play toys, but it doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't always work for your given need.
No,
do you know? It doesn't always, but that's not. I mean, it definitely works because they're making a business out of it, and some of them are really big businesses.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a production line. That's no. I would.
You want to keep it bespoke.
Yeah.
The way you've obviously built the business up. That's clearly what you enjoy doing.
Yeah.
You don't like mundane, repetitive tasks. You want it to kind of be creative and nice and.
Absolutely.
The Mullet Makes way.
Absolutely.
But this will be a different branch.
Absolutely. Open to suggestions on names, by the way, people.
Oh, so you've not even came up with a name for it?
Well, I haven't really come up with a name. I've kind of got one floating about my head. You know, I put it out on social media and loads of folk get back to me. And I've got a couple. I've actually got a really good, a belter that was suggested by somebody that we both know. And I think it's a really good, strong suggestion. But it's not written in stone yet.
Right. You'll need to tell me later who it is.
Oh, I don't know if I can.
We know a lot of people together. This could be a hard guess. It's one of the ones, a name will pop in. Like, I done the same with my business. Like, when I started mine, I was like, what can I call it? What can I call it? I want to be different. I want to be something that nobody else has got. And you sit for ages sometimes and it just doesn't. And then one day it just went, and that was it. So I'm sure it'll come.
Aye, I think as well, like, you always try and paint a story on about your brand, do you know what I mean? So like, I don't know, I don't even know if Mullet Makes really works, to be honest with you. Everybody just thinks I'm going to walk into their house with a big long mullet in the back of my head, do you know what I mean? Like, that's the first thing they think about as soon as they see the name Mullet Makes. And then
for the Spotify listeners, he has got a mullet, don't
9 times out of 10 they'll halfway through the job and they'll say, so why is it called Mullet Makes? No, my surname's Mullet and I make things. Like, I don't know, it just seemed a natural one back in the day. Do you know what I mean? It
just fits.
But I think it's quite good to have a kind of the name of the business actually linking to what or the name of the offshoot. I don't know what you want to call it.
So basically, normally I'd ask, how do you see the future going? You've clearly stated that your anxiety is not moving anywhere.
Nah.
You're staying a one-man band, but
100%.
There's that slight progression where you might branch off into something just a wee bit different.
Aye, I think the same with every business, isn't it? You've just got to find your own wee niche, do you know what I mean, and find your own wee gap in the market. And I kind of think we've already kind of got a wee gap in the market with Mullet Makes, and I do get enough work. Do you know what I mean? I'm not starting something because I need more work, to be honest with you. I really don't need any more work. Very, very thankfully, like, do you know, I'm not being big-headed or anything like that.
You're busy enough.
Absolutely, absolutely busy enough. But I think it's just to keep it fresh for myself more than anything else as well. Do you know? I think I just need something else to be dipping my toes into. And I touched on the whole whiskey barrel thing earlier on, and I will still do whiskey barrels. If somebody asks me for a whiskey barrel, I'll do it, and I probably will. Now that I've got a kind of workshop a wee bit more functioning now, I probably will start advertising it. But for a while there, I'd kind of fell out of love with the whiskey barrel side. I used to love doing it. I used to love doing the whiskey barrels, and you know, then going to customers' houses and seeing them fill it up with their own whiskey collection and all this kind of stuff, and then talking about whiskey, because I could talk about whiskey till the cows came home. Yeah, like I love whiskey.
Raging alcoholic?
No, absolutely not. I'm genuinely not. I mean, I couldn't tell you. Well, I had a couple of drams on Saturday night, but I genuinely.
So it's a passion then.
Love it. I love whiskey, like, and I used to love going out to people's houses and then talk. That gave you an inroad into talking about whiskey, but I just kind of lost that of late, you know. I think I need to have something else that I'm kind of passionate about, and we've just done a whole spate of outdoor play furniture, and do you know, standing back, I think, do you know what? She's a Wayne.
Put a wee bit of fire behind you for that side.
I would love to have had stuff like this. And you look online, and it's going for like 4 times as much as I'm charging for it, or I can make it. You know what I mean?
Are these the ones like out of shop kind of thing?
Aye.
There's a market there for it.
you know, or even the flip side of that, you could go to Argos and buy one for £100, but I know for a fact that could make you a much better one for the same sort of cash. Do you know? Maybe I'm not charging enough money. Like, I don't know.
You'll need to suss that one out.
Aye.
So you've kind of got a game plan for that. You've mentioned obviously you've got more space in the workshop. You've now got somewhere you can do production. Is that something that you've always aimed to have, like your own space?
Yeah. Rather
than you mentioned earlier you were renting space.
Yeah. Back in the day, my dad's mate, he still runs a company. I was needing somewhere. I started out in my garden shed that I built out of pallets. Like, it was very humble beginnings.
Yeah.
And then I eventually decided, you know, I'm going to need somewhere a bit more spacious, you know, because this is just frying my brain. So I started to rent. He had a couple of rooms up the back where they used to do another wee offshoot of their business that then didn't function anymore. Yeah. So they were just lying dormant. So I rented off a bit of space, and I started up the workshop. And then, you know, when the kind of family started to grow as well, we were thinking, you know, I'm paying X amount of money a month for this space, and actually, if we just went and bought a house, even if it was X amount a month more than our current mortgage, if it had a double garage, it'd be fine, you know. So we ended up moving, double garage, insulated it, soundproofed it, all the rest of it, and I was working out of there for a while, and that was great. That was really good. I say work, I still don't really spend that much time in the workshop because a lot of the work is outside, do you know what I mean? But that was really good. But then we made a very rash decision to move again. And yeah, I've literally got nowhere now. I did have nowhere to call Mullet Makes HQ. So yeah, I built a big garage. I say a big garage, it's quite small, in my back garden. And you know, that's
it's big enough. It's like a second house.
I went through planning, and I did stipulate, and I made it very clear in the planning application that it was a cottage. It'll be for a cottage craft, do you know what I mean, as far as the whiskey barrels or the play furniture. So, but it's never going to be a workshop.
It's just going to give you a space to do what you do.
Exactly.
That's not on site.
Exactly.
Everybody needs a wee space, and it's one of the ones. Once it's yours, it's yours.
Yeah.
You can adapt it.
Absolutely.
Fit it out how you want, and it kind of just gives you that freedom that you crave.
It took me 2 years to get my last workshop to the point where actually I was thinking, do you know what, this actually works. I can bring something in here and go through the process of from start to finish. Do you know what I mean? And this space actually works. And we've literally just put a door on the garage about 3 months ago. So it doesn't work at the moment. It doesn't really work very well, but it will. It'll be a great space for me once it's actually functioning. Do you know?
It's a process.
It is. It's very much.
I'm still changing mine.
Exactly.
Like my warehouse side of the unit just isn't ready yet. Like, it does what it does. We're using it, but it's no. Yeah. It's not fulfilling its potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it takes a while for you to actually figure out how it does work for you, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And it costs a fortune.
And everything costs money. Yeah. That's very true.
Yeah. So you have obviously dealt now with. How many years have you been running? Just
probably 5. I think I've actually been full guns going full time Mullet Makes for 3.5 years.
Yeah. So in that kind of experience that you've had and you've gained, is there any standout project that you've done that's really close to you?
Oh man,
it's a question, isn't it? Catches everybody.
Do you know, we've done a really good garden actually, and it was a wee bit bordering on landscaping. I don't really know. So anyway, I know it's dodgy, innit? We've done a really good garden up in Airdrie for a girl, and if she listens to this, she'll know exactly who she is because I told her it was going to be the the showstopper catalogue garden, so to speak, and unfortunately she's now moved out, so I can't even get into it.
That good a showstopper, she sold it.
I don't think it was anything to do with my garden, right enough, do you know what I mean? But we've done a couple of different pads of decking over different areas, different levels, raised beds with sleepers, and we went all out on the sleeper beds as well. They were all lovely and chamfered and sanded, and we've done. I know everybody's doing it right, but if you do it really well, it does look good. We've done it with picture frame the decking with a smooth side deck board on the picture frame and all these kind of things, do you know? And it did honestly stand back, and it did look tremendous. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to think of any other showstoppers as such, do you know? And I guess none of our projects. That's probably one of the biggest projects we've ever done, do you know? And actually, to you, it would have been nothing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it would have been a really small wee gig for you. But it's because my jobs are usually 1 day shots, 2 day shots, 3 of them. You know, you don't really have any mad showstoppers.
It's hard I find it hard to describe. Like, if you say to me, "Oh, that would have been a small job for you," everybody's totally different like that. There's manpower is a massive thing.
Yeah.
Like, the biggest project we ever undertook was just shy of 12 weeks. Now, there was me plus 2, so there was 3 years on it, with some heavy machinery and whatever else, diggers, dumpers, all the rest of it. It was a massive job, right? But truth is, see if there was an extra 3 bodies on it, or maybe another 2, another 3, we could maybe have shaved off 4 weeks, depending on that. But everybody's just totally different. So
I think a lot of the ones, like, I'm just thinking of the dog parts. See, when you stand back and look at the dog parts, they're pretty impressive. You know what I mean? They are really, really impressive. But I've not done every element of that. Do you know what I mean? There's another guy that comes in and does the freestanding building shed things, whatever it is. There's a big agricultural fencing contractor that comes in and does all the deer fencing run about it. Do you know? Craig's got very much a big input into what goes on and who he brings in and all the rest of it. But the bigger picture of that's a cracking project. Do you know what I mean? They're really, really good projects. But it's no me that does everything. You know, and quite a lot of we've just finished a really big nursery down in Mount Vernon at the tail end of last year. And again, a really big project, but I was almost like a small fish in the pond. Do you know what I mean? I was only one element to that big, massive project. I haven't really ever, and I don't really ever see myself taking on, for instance, well, I couldn't take on a loft conversion because I don't know how to do them, right? And I just would say no. But, like, do you know? I don't know.
Kind of project managed job.
Yeah, and bringing a tiler in and bringing this in and bringing that in and bringing the next boy in and bringing the plaster and the decorating.
Everybody know that.
I can't. So, but I mean, probably the showstop project that I've worked on is my own house. If you want to go down that road. Because as we do every room in the house, I'm kind of project management, bringing in the plasterer, bringing in the painter, I've done all the joinery work and got it up to the standard, and we've got various tradesmen in and out all the time. But when the room's finished, I guess that's the biggest project I've ever done, really. But we don't really do big projects as such. So to call them showstoppers, I think I just don't really do showstoppers. A wee bit unfair on yourself. Probably, maybe it is. Like, some of my work, all my work's really good.
Yeah.
Do you know? But actually, it tends to kind of fall into insignificance once.
Fair enough. So, on the flip side of the coin, that's obviously the ones that are closest to your heart, the showstoppers that you've enjoyed doing. Have you had anything that any bad experiences through your business that you've came across?
I don't like working in toilets.
You don't like working in toilets?
Aye. With a job a couple of weeks ago. Oh, man.
So you don't want to be a plumber then?
Oh, I don't even mind water, right? But just toilets, that's a different league.
Right.
And do you know what? It wasn't even actually my job. I was subbed onto this job, right? And so there was two years on the job, right? So I turned up, wasn't my job, didn't even have a clue what I was going to. Just thought we were putting a new back panel onto the back of his toilet and we're ply lining the floor, right? Well, see, when I ply lined the floor, I nearly went through the floor.
Rotted?
Oh, it was completely and utterly rotten. And
for ages.
The other thing is, somebody else would have just come in there and ply lined that floor with 6mm ply and forgot about it. But I couldn't do that. I literally can't do that. all it took was a 10-minute journey down to the builder's merchant to buy 2 sheets of 22mm cable and go back up the road and lift the old stuff and put, it didn't take any length of time. Yeah. But it's just the fact that I was working and who knows what's leaking out of there, and oh man, nah, I'll not work in a toilet anytime soon. Toilets. Nah, I've never really had any jobs that's went horribly wrong. We've had a couple of stupid, idiotic mistakes, right? Nobody's perfect. We've all been there. We've all done daft stuff on a job, and it's cost us money.
Yep.
But one thing I will always say is I'll never walk away from that stuff. I'll always make sure that it's fixed, and it's fixed as soon as physically possible, and also to the best of my ability, because I can't leave. I guess it was back to the whole conversation we had earlier on with the morals thing. I just can't. I can't walk away from a job knowing I've left something in a riot, or you should always try and walk away from a job, even leaving the site cleaner than you found it.
Yeah.
That's the mentality I have. And fair enough, sometimes you don't sweep up at the end of day one, and because you're coming back the next day to make more, you know what I mean? But at the end of the job,
it'll look good.
It'll look good, and it should always be in a much nicer position than you first initially walked into
even the toilet.
Well, the toilet looked minted. See, once it was finished, the toilet looked minted. But see, to get there, I've never washed my hands so many times in one day in my life. Do you know what I mean? I didn't even want my toes to get dirty. I was like washing my hands before I picked my drill up and all that, just in case it was just
germaphobe. One of the ones. We actually had a boy once for us that obviously we work outside, right? We work in dirt daily, and I swear to God, I've never seen anybody wash their hands so much in my life. Like, he hated dirt, and I'm like, "Are you sure you're on the right job?" And he was like, "I'll be fine." But I mean, any bit of dirt on him, game over.
I don't mind
wiping these clays with wet wipes. No,
I don't mind dirt. I just don't like jobbies.
Fair enough. There you win. I don't think it shouldn't be part of saying that. You see these guys on TikTok and social media, and that's all they do is unblock drains and
and it's spraying everywhere and all that. And every time I watch these videos, I always just think, man, as soon as you go in the front door, you must just have this aura about you.
I think it's one of the topics though, like, I found myself in an absolute fucking rabbit hole watching about 6 or 7 of the videos in a trot because it's fascinating. You're like, how does this guy not get home covered in shite? Like, in a real world, like, how is he not covered in this?
The other thing that's fascinating is the random things that they uncover that's actually blocking the toilet. It's like, it was like, what? Who on earth flushes that thing down the toilet, man?
There was one I watched and it was a bra. How the fuck do you get a full bra down the toilet?
There's just so many random things. Anyway, that's... Right,
so that's your pet hate. Well, in terms of you and your company and everything else, I've really enjoyed you telling your story. There's always one thing I like to finish it up on.
Go for it.
And it is, through the experience that you've gained in the position that you're in now, what kind of advice would you give your younger self if you were starting over again?
I mean, that's an easy one. I would have started at 16.
Don't go to uni.
100%. 100%. I've had this conversation with numerous people. Know that I'm putting anybody off university, right? That's not what I'm... I've
spoke about it previously, and it's the same thing. Like, when I was at school, obviously, it was, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a surgeon, go to uni, do this, do that. I know people that went to school with me and they went to uni and they've done fuck all with it, and it's no through choice. Like, they were positioned into that place, and then there was nothing there for them at the end. And it's different now. I don't know. It's like my boys in high school, and it's totally different. I think the whole schooling system's totally different. So if you were passing back that advice, it would be start earlier. Because I mean, it's just really hard at 16 to know what you want to do, isn't it? It is. That's the reality. It took me well beyond 16 to decide what I wanted to do. And maybe don't pass up the opportunity to go to university and all that sort of thing. But I think just for me back then, university was the be all and end all for everybody. Yeah. And it's just not the case. Like, I genuinely remember, I'll never forget it. And again, this boy might listen to this. When I walked back in to go outdoors for a job, and he was the I can't remember what they called him at the time, assistant store manager, right? So he was just one for the top.
And he walked back in, and he was a guy that I've known for years. I went to school with him, and he basically laughed at me and says, "It's funny, isn't it? Because you've went to uni and everything, and I'm still higher up the pecking order than you." Do you know? And I'm thinking, and he just literally, so he left school and he snaked his way through, and he worked in B&Q with me as well, actually, and he went up the ladder, and so I'm walking into a job after being to uni, after getting a degree, after getting a really good degree, very educated, and I'm still below this guy who's just left school and just smashed life by just getting on with it. And that's not for everybody. Do you know what I mean? And academia is a way that loads of folk succeed and loads of folk make really good, healthy lifestyles out of it. But it's just not for everybody. Yeah, it's just not for everybody.
Some people just don't enjoy school.
Yeah. And if I tell my younger self something, just always give them the 110. Do you know? Because the amount of people that there's a flip side of that. There's probably people out there, right, that have come into the trade straight from school, and are now working as a 35-year-old joiner, but actually absolutely hating it. Mm-hmm. Do you know? So there is a flip side to every story. Do you know what I mean? And that's maybe some of these ones that we're having to then go back and fix their skirtings because they've chewed them together. Yeah. And it's because he hates it, and he should never have been a joiner in the first place. Do you know what I mean? You've got to find your own
passion. You
need to enjoy it, because at the end of the day, you're doing it for a heck of a long time. And do you know what? As I've even in the past 10 years, this blooming retirement, whatever that's called, is getting further and further away rather than coming closer together. Closer, you're going to be doing it for a long time.
Definitely.
So you need to enjoy it, man.
You need to enjoy what you're doing.
You need to enjoy it.
It's one of these things as well. Like sometimes you don't find your passion or your drive or your kind of your life path.
Yeah.
Until a certain point in your life, and it just literally triggers.
Yeah.
Like we spoke earlier about a mixed bag. Like I had a mixed bag. I worked in retail, worked my way all the way up to retail management. I worked offshore. I went to college when I left school, done architectural courses at college, done photography at college, done all different things.
Yep.
And then it just happens. Like sometimes I enjoyed school. I lasted all the way to halfway through 5th year and then decided, fuck this. Like, it's just not for me anymore.
Aye.
And I'll be honest with you, I was sold a false promise when I was getting into, or when I chose to stay back on for 5th year. It'll be different. You get treated more like an adult and you get this, but it's not like that. Do you know what I mean? It's no like they explained that there was going to be a bit more freedom, a bit more adult-like, where you choose this, you choose when you want to do this and whatever, but it was just the same old school, and I had had enough at that point. So I lasted halfway through and then decided, nah, fuck it, I'm about to go and do a college course. And I went and done NC in computing. Just that was the only course that was available, and I just went, right, go for
anyone
it.
You can get it.
And I done it, and I enjoyed it. It was a half a course, obviously, because of the way the academic year worked, but that kind of set me in the path where I was going. So it was totally different. So I get what you mean, and I'll be honest with you, my advice would be pretty similar to yours, to be honest.
Aye.
Literally just start younger and try and get your head into something and just see how it goes.
I know. I don't really know how you improve that transition though, from school to whatever, because at the end of the day it's really hard, isn't it? It's hard to find, and there's millions of folk out there, that just fall into a job straight out of school or straight into university, and then they're working in it for 55 years, and every day they come home and I go back to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And
I feel like that sometimes.
I feel like that as well. I do. I'm not saying it's all roses. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely not roses. But what I'm saying is, at least 50% of the time, I really enjoy what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean?
The truth is, right, see, if you really enjoy it, you're going to produce better goods.
Aye, absolutely.
For a tradesman and a skills point of view, if you enjoy your job, you're going to strive to be better and good, and you want to leave a good mark, and you want people to talk about you, and you want people to keep you booked up with work and whatever else. So, I totally understand.
I know. Well, I'm always I mean, I sit at night once the kids go down and look at other people's work. Go back on TikTok and start scrolling through and learning for other bodies. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Jamie for Very Good Joinery and Glasgow. He's just putting a series up. He's actually, it was his own house. He was putting a second story on it, and his social medias were brilliant because I was learning so much, and just he probably thinks it's all mundane stuff, man. But I was just lapping it in.
Yeah.
You know, taking so much information off of this stuff and learning and developing new skills. And
again, though, this is something that we've touched on previously. Technology is there now. When we were younger and at school, we didn't. I had the internet, but I had dial-up internet when I first got it. Do you know what I mean? It was way back. That. So you didn't have the freedom that
your mother shouting up the stair, Ian, you need to get off an internet. I need to phone your granny.
Aye, why they once. I can still remember that wee fucking tune. But I do get it. Like social media now, and even just the internet, YouTube, whatever. It's so easy to scroll and take inspiration and learn how other people do things, and then adapt yourself to suit.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
Technology's got a good bonus for the younger ones these days.
100%. And I think there's loads of folk out there that are trying to sell themselves and absolutely making a pig's ear of it. But I think you learn off of that as well. I learn off of that.
It's a touchy.
Because I would then be I would say that, I would look at that and go, oh man, I would never do it like that.
Yeah.
There's so much better ways of doing that. But then when I come to do it, I'll think, oh, remember, we don't do it that way because that looked terrible. You know what I'm saying? So you learn off these things as well. Again,
I think social media is one of the ones you can sell your soul to the devil.
I think there's too many people do that, to be honest.
You do. Like, there is the bonus here. Like, we've got sponsorships through social media and stuff. And the way I try and stay true to myself is I'll only take a sponsorship from somebody or a product that I use day in and day out, because then I'm not telling any lies. I'm not creating content just to make money off it.
Yeah.
But there's influencers out there that are basically milking the system, and at the end of the day, the system's there to be milked. But there's people out there that teach stuff or influence stuff, and it's the wrong way to do it. But you've got to take the good with the bad, I guess.
And they're getting van fills of stuff for
free.
Aye.
Hams. It's the world of social media.
Aye, I know. So I'm not massive on social media. I do enjoy following other stories, people's stories, but actually 9 times out of 10 I'm too embroiled in work to actually step back and take a photo every stage of my day. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how folk manage it, to be honest with you. Genuinely, I don't know how folk manage it.
It's one of the things, you just need to make time for it, I guess.
Aye, well,
that's what I try and do anyway.
I know, I guess. Aye.
I've got every gadget known to man to try and capture every angle, but it's not always easy.
Nah. I always just get too embroiled into something, and then before I've known it, I'm stepping back and going, oh, it's finished. Oh, and I didn't take any photos of that. Whoops.
Again.
Or 9 times out of 10, I'm actually in my van halfway down the road, and then realise, oh man, didn't take a single photo of that thing.
Sometimes it's before pictures I struggle with.
Yeah.
I'll forget to do it. Like, I just get there and I'll read the job pack to the boys and say, this is what's happening, blah, 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 walk them through, show them what's happening, and then it's, fuck, I've dug that gear. I forgot to take a picture.
Aye.
The joys. Well,
absolutely.
Ian, thank you very much for coming on. I hope you really enjoyed telling your story, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Cheers,
Thanks for the invite.
Thank you.
Thank you.